Hi, I'm Max Keiser, and this is the Keiser Report. Let's go to Stacey Herbert. Stacey.
Hi, Max. I like the way you put this on our website, maxkeiser.com. You said what Keynes called animal spirits has been replaced by the munchies. But, you know, it's not just potato chips and Twizzlers. There's also bath salts. Headline reads, bath salts, a growing drug problem, officials say. So police say they are seeing a growing number of Americans suffering hallucinations, paranoid thoughts, and heart palpitations after snorting, smoking, or injecting chemicals sold as bath salts under names like Ivory Wave, Bliss, White Lightning, and Hurricane Charlie.
Right, so methamphetamine is just not doing it for them. I got an idea. Go into your parents' kitchen, the place where you prepare food. It's different than a McDonald's. And find the largest frying pan you can. Pick it up in both hands and slap yourself in the head with it really hard. That'll give you the same effect.
You might need some bath salts, actually, for the next headline. Emails show Bear Stearns cheated clients out of billions. So, former Bear Stearns mortgage executives who now run mortgage divisions of Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Ally Financial have been accused of cheating and defrauding investors through the mortgage securities they created and sold while they were working at Bear Stearns. According to emails and internal audits, J.P. Morgan had known about this fraud since the spring of 2008, but hid it from the public through legal maneuvers. But last week, a lawsuit filed in 2008 by mortgage insurer Ambac Assurance Corporation against Bear Stearns and J.P. Morgan was unsealed. The lawsuits supporting emails going back to as far as 2005 highlight Bear traders telling their superiors that they were selling investors like Ambac a, quote, sack of
Well, yeah, it's right after they tried smoking it. Then they just sold it.
Apparently, they knew that all of the mortgages in these mortgage-backed securities were fraudulent, bogus, likely to default.
Yes.
So they knew they were a sack of excrement, as they call it. After funneling these misrepresented loans with Ambac's insurance, they then, according to the lawsuit, implemented a trading strategy to profit from Ambac's potential demise by shorting banks with large exposure to Ambac-insured securities. And again, these are in email correspondence that they were shorting these banks just after they sold it.
So it's like they get their employees to take out life insurance, and then they kill them. Or they take out fire insurance on your house, then they burn it down. They take out insurance against the mis-selling of these securities, and then they make huge bets against it. This is the problem. This is why the American economy is being destroyed, is because the banks are what I call suicide bankers. They're pathologically ill. They're Lloyd Blankfein, Jamie Dimon, these guys. They are sick. They are kleptocrats. They're murderers. They're financial assassins. And this is a typical story exactly as we described it here. They game the system. They game the legal system. And everyone is in on it. The rating agencies knew about this. Fitch and Moody's, they knew about it. They committed fraud. The investment banks knew about it. They committed fraud. The Justice Department, and under Bush and under Obama, they know about it. They're committing fraud on a daily basis.
Regarding this story here, recall that it's very similar to the Goldman Sachs AIG deal. And we saw this and we covered this here on the Keiser Report a few months ago, where Senator Carl Levin was questioning Goldman Sachs, including Lloyd Blankfein, and he was asking about emails in which they also used this same word of this excrement, this foul word, this four-letter word, for their deals that they were knowingly selling to their clients. Did anything ever come of that? Were they ever prosecuted? Were they ever charged with fraud? No, it was all just like their sort of language. But I thought perhaps because there is so much of this being sold and packaged by banks, perhaps we could reclassify this as manufacturing. And they could be the world's largest dealer of fertilizer, for example, around the world.
Mm-hmm. Fecal securities, fecal-backed securities. Well, basically, when you put, let's say, Jamie Dimon, J.P. Morgan, and Lloyd Blankfein of Goldman Sachs into a room, they crap in each other in their underwear. Then they rip that out, and then they sell to each other for a fee. And then when it turns out that what they sold, which was the basis for the entire collateral of the American economy, turns out to be nothing but the fecal matter of Jamie Dimon and Lloyd Blankfein, and their banks are threatened with insolvency, they then get Hank Paulson, who was at Goldman Sachs, then was working at the Treasury, to go down in front of Congress, put a gun in front of their head and said, either give us $750 billion, we're going to blow up your economy, we're going to threaten martial law. So they've got the goons, they've got the fecal matter security sellers, they've got the compromised legal precedents. There's no rule of law. It's a kleptocracy. And they sell poo-poo with each other, and they call that, and that's the economy. American economy is based on selling poo-poo from one bank to another for fees, and then when it's too much poo-poo in the system, they declare bankruptcy and they mandate a bailout, which then it's like getting a clean underwear. What do they do in the clean underwear? Oh, that's more American securities. There's more America. There's more American securities. Let's sell them. Let's get another $1 billion bonus. Oh, I just made myself another bonus. That's what Wall Street's all about. It's just selling poo-poo. That's it. It's worth nothing.
Also, according to the article from Terry Buell, a public hearing is currently scheduled to be held by the New York State Assembly regarding whether legal action should be brought against banks for misleading insurers about mortgage-related securities.
Gee, I wonder. Well, Americans live in the sewer. I mean, that's financed by these banks that point to the sewer and sewerage and say, that's a AAA-rated government-secured bond. You should be happy you're living in that AAA-rated government-secured sewer bond.
Well, they're all at this Walmart of weed, smoking dope, or breathing or inhaling or injecting bath salts. So, they don't know what it is that's going on Wall Street.
So Bernanke's clearly addicted to crack.
So, is it going to get better? Mortgage lenders seeking court permission to destroy 22,100 boxes of original loan documents. So, this is what they've taken from this, because there's been no justice. All they're doing is let's get rid of any evidence that remains, and so that no lawsuit could ever be brought against us, because the original documents will no longer exist.
Oops. Well, they should sell them to the company that wants to be the Walmart of weed, and they can sell them as rolling paper. So you go in there to the Walmart of weed, you buy a pound of cents a million, and you get some of these original issue mortgage documents to go with it to roll up your dope with, and you can be just like Ben Bernanke.
Actually, you gave me another idea, because maybe all of these collateralized debt obligations that Bear Stearns was selling, and now J.P. Morgan owns them, maybe they could sell them to the likes of Monsanto as a new sort of fertilizer, like chop up the paper and dump it in the, agricultural.
Well, it can definitely go in. According to Taco Bell, there's a lawsuit against Taco Bell that the beef in their beef products is not actually beef. So I'm sure chopped up mortgage paper would substitute. Well, it's like that story we did last year about the Chinese bun manufacturer that sold soot enhanced cardboard and called it a enhanced cardboard soot bun.
So let's move on to the next headline, also related to all of this. Mortgage giants leave legal bills to the taxpayers. So even if Bear Stearns or J.P. Morgan have to go to court to defend this, it looks like, the taxpayers are being stiffed with all the bills. Since the government took over Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, taxpayers have spent more than $160 million defending the mortgage finance companies and their former top executives in civil lawsuits accusing them of fraud. The cost was a closely guarded secret until last week, of course.
The guy who was keeping the secret was high on dope, and he let it go to WikiLeaks.
Yes, this is in order to defend Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac executives like Franklin Raines and Timothy Howard. And, of course, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac bought a lot of these bad mortgages from these banks as well.
That's part of a huge scam, because they got a government-sponsored entity, allows them to play and game the interest rate spread between government securities and non-government securities. Here's my prediction. I made it last year. I'm sticking by it, that before the end of this year, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, a $5 trillion liability on America's balance sheet, will be bought by the Chinese. And the biggest landlord in America will be China.
Well, they could end up being a good short to short China, because if Bear Stearns is correct about their assessment of what is in these mortgage-backed securities.
Well, there's a huge short bet on China now with Jim Chanos, I think. The guy who shorted Enron. He's short China, so that could be the basis of it.
And so is it going to get better or worse? Well, look at this chart of the day. The housing double dip is accelerating. Home prices dive 1.6% in November. So the trend is continuing down. It appears that Bear Stearns was indeed correct, Max, that what they sold and what is backing these mortgage-backed securities, which is now owned by the taxpayer via a new accounting law introduced January 6th by the Federal Reserve Bank, is that remember, they can no longer go insolvent because they could just transfer their bad liabilities to the Treasury. So they're just negative liabilities owned by the taxpayer.
That's right. The Fed's balance sheet can expand exponentially ad infinitum to accommodate an infinite number of bad loans as the real estate market gets into a double crash, which means banks go into another crash, which means another big bailout from Congress at gunpoint or threatened martial law. And it's all quite nightmarish for the U.S. dollar, isn't it? All right, Stacey Hubbard, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report.
Thank you, Max.
Don't go away. Much more coming away, so stay right there.